The Old West is a place where the lawless are free to flee, and the only thing standing between order and chaos are brave men who stand up to them. And of all these men, Bat Masterson is the toughest, bravest, and most legendary. Bat Masterson is a true icon of the Old West, a gunman, lawman, and gambler living his life his own way. His legacy lives on through the stories and legends surrounding him. In this video, we will explore the life and lore of this iconic character, from his early days as a buffalo hunter to his career as a sheriff. Join us as we delve into the life of Bat Masterson, the toughest lawman in the Old West. Bartholomew William Barclay Bat Masterson, an icon of the American Old West, was born on November 26, 1853, in Iberville County, Quebec, Canada, into a farming family. His father, Thomas Masterson, was Canadian, and his mother, Catherine McGurk, was an Irish immigrant. Bat was the second of 7 siblings to spend his early years on farms in Quebec, New York, and Illinois before settling near Wichita, Kansas in 1871. In his youth, he honed his gun skills and became an accomplished marksman. Bat regularly participated in buffalo hunting expeditions and immersed himself in the rugged, wild frontier lifestyle of the time. In the fall of 1871, Bat Masterson, a young and eager explorer, set out on a buffalo hunting expedition with his brother Ed. The brothers camped with hunters along the Salt Fork River in present-day Comanche and Barber counties in Kansas, and it was during this time that Bat's life would change forever. On these dusty plains, he met a number of figures who would become legends in Western history, such as Wyatt Earp, Billy Dixon, Tom Nixon, and Principal Dog Dave Morrow. As Bat and Ed traversed rough terrain, they were known for their sharp sniping and very effective hunting approach. It was during one of these expeditions that Bat's companions gave him the nickname that would stick with him for the rest of his life: Bat. The name is reminiscent of Baptist Brown, or Old Bat, a famous hunter and trapper from a generation before Masterson. The summer of 1872 brought new opportunities for Bat and Ed Masterson as they worked to extend the Santa Fe Railroad to Colorado. However, their love of buffalo hunting brought them back to their camp along Kiowa Creek with their younger brother, Jim. By January 1873, the Masterson brothers abandoned hunting expeditions and Bat remained in Dodge City while the others returned to their family farm. But Ed's passion for adventure brought him back to Dodge, where he worked at the Alhambra Saloon. On the other hand, Bat resumed his buffalo hunt. However, buffalo numbers were rapidly declining, with many hunters moving south and west into hostile Indian territory in 1874. A group of merchants from Dodge City followed the hunters of buffalo hunting south, established a large complex called Adobe Walls near the ruins of Fort Adobe. The complex includes a corral and restaurant, primarily catering to the growing number of buffalo hunters in the area. In April 1874, a second shop was opened, soon followed by a tavern and blacksmith shop. Trade at Adobe Walls is booming, with around 200 to 300 buffalo hunters roaming the area in late spring. Unfortunately, some Indian tribes in the area consider buffalo and buffalo hunting a significant threat to their existence, and they have made a number of attacks on buffalo hunters. However, the dangers did not stop James Hanrahan, the owner of the Adobe Walls Tavern, from leading a group of buffalo hunters, including Bat Masterson, heading south on June 5, 1874. Along the way, they encountered not a group of Cheyennes. Indians were running from cattle about 75 miles southwest of Dodge City. The hunters quickly joined a wagon train en route to the Adobe Walls, arriving just hours before the Indian attack, known as the Second Battle of the Adobe Walls. On the morning of June 27, 1874, a terrifying attack took place at Adobe Walls. Warriors of the Comanche, Cheyenne, Kiowa, and Arapaho tribes, under the command of Quanah Parker and Issa Tai, advanced to the buffalo hunters' camp. The attackers amounted to about 700 strong, aggressive people. Amid the chaos, Bat Masterson and Billy Dixon took shelter in 2 shops and pubs, along with 26 other men. Although the enemy was much outnumbered, they were able to repel the attack of Indians with their advanced weapons and reasonable tactics. The fighting raged on for 4 days in a row, with the Adobe Walls buffalo hunters refusing to back down. Soon, reinforcements arrived, numbering about 100 men. With additional strength, the Indians quickly retreated. Although estimates of damage vary, it is believed that up to 70 Indians were killed and many others, including Parker himself, were injured. By contrast, only 4 people at Adobe Walls were killed. Incidents at Adobe Walls resulted in Colonel Nelson A. Miles being ordered to lead an expedition against the Indians in the Texas Panhandle. Masterson joined the expedition on his own as a civilian scout. After that, he spent time hunting buffalo and wandering at Charlie Rath, which has become the headquarters of buffalo hunters. By early 1876, Masterson was working as a faro dealer at Henry Fleming's saloon. However, on January 24th, a heated argument broke out over a card game and a beautiful woman named Molly Brennan. The argument quickly escalated, and Masterson found himself in a gunfight with Sergeant Melvin A. King. During the melee, King's shot hit Molly Brennan, killing her, then hitting Masterson's pelvis. The injury caused Bat to limp for the rest of his life. The incident at Adobe Walls was a turning point for Masterson, and it marked a change in his life. He is forced to face the brutal reality of the time and place where he lives, where violence and conflict are always a constant threat. Bat Masterson was elected sheriff on November 6, 1877, with the local newspaper calling him a cold, determined, and dangerous gunman. In January 1878, Bat took over as chief of police and quickly began to hone his skills. One of his first trials came on January 27, 1878, when Dave Rudaball and his gang attempted to rob a train in Kinsley, Kansas. Despite their efforts, the robbers failed and fled the scene. On February 1st, Bat Masterson and his team, including his brother Ed Masterson, set out in pursuit of the bandits. Thanks to his skill and determination, Bat successfully caught 2 robbers, Dave Rudaball and Edgar West. 2 others were arrested soon after. Despite the successful capture of the robbers, tragedy struck on April 9, 1878, when Ed Masterson disarmed a drunken cowboy named Jack Wagner, who had violated the town's gun ban. As Ed was about to leave with Wagner's gun, the cowboy pulled out another pistol and shot him. Despite the fatal wound, Ed bravely shot back, hitting Wagner in the chest. After the shooting, Ed staggered across the street to George M. Hoover's pub, where he recounted the story before collapsing to the floor. Despite being taken to his room, Ed passed away just 30 minutes later. Jack Wagner also died the next day. Following Ed's death, Dodge City Council appointed Charlie Bassett as city police chief. Wyatt Earp then appointed Bassett's assistant sheriff a few months later. The year 1879 for Bat Masterson was full of events, adventures, and dangers. That January, Bat took the position of Deputy Sheriff of the United States, and he proved his worth when he caught Henry Bourne, also known as Ha-Lan, one of the most notorious horse thieves in West America. On February 17, 1879, Bat was assigned to the important task of bringing Cheyenne prisoners held at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, to trial in Dodge City. These inmates were charged with robbery during the fall raid in Kansas State, and they were charged with 40 murders in what would later be called the last Indian raid in Kansas. As if that weren't enough, Bat was also accused of defending the interests of the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railroad in a major dispute with the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad over access to the Royal Canyon in Colorado. Some sources claim that the Santa Fe Railroad even used political connections to secure his appointment as U.S. Marshal in order to legally protect their assets. With the help of famous gunmen like Doc Holliday, Dirty Dave Rudaball, Mysterious Dave Mather, Ben Thompson, and about 70 others, Bat led the Royal Gorge War, a tense conflict between rival groups of railroad workers to control Rio Grande stations from Denver to Canyon City, Colorado. All was going well until June 10, 1879, when the courts ruled against the Santa Fe Railroad, leaving Bat and his men in a dilemma. County and city officials quickly stepped in to drive away the Santa Fe gunman, and the Denver and Colorado Springs station fell instantly. The only remaining stronghold is Bat's headquarters in Pueblo, Colorado, where they continued to fight despite all the difficulties. But in the end, even they had to admit defeat. This was a significant loss for Bat and his crew, and it marked the end of the Royal Canyon Wars. In 1888, Bat traveled to Denver, Colorado to deal cards at the arcade to Big Ed Chase. He eventually managed and purchased Arcade that same year, which was a major turning point in his life. It was at the arcade that he met Emma Moulton, a talented actress and singer who would become his life partner for many years. According to reports, they married in November 1891 in Denver, and their relationship continued until Bat's death. In 1902, Masterson decided to move to bustling New York City, but he soon broke the law. He was arrested for cheating the game Faro and carrying a weapon. The following year, he lived and worked in Times Square, then known as Longacre Square. He later became a sports journalist for the New York Morning Telegraph and was appointed U.S. Marshal for the Southern District of New York, a position he held until 1909. During this time, Bat also wrote a series of articles for Human Life magazine, based in Boston. These articles focused on old friends and adventures he had experienced over the years. In July 1921, Bat Masterson was entering his final heavyweight title fight, an event later known as the $1 Million Gate and advertised by George Tex Rickard. Jack Dempsey was defending his world heavyweight title, and Masterson was there to see it all. 3 months later, in October, Masterson was visited by none other than William S. Hart, the legendary Cowboy star on the silent screen. They posed for pictures together on the roof of the New York Morning Telegraph building before heading to Masterson's office. There, Hart sat in Masterson's chair, and the two men took a second photo together. According to Hart, "I liked that, and he stood beside me. Mr. Masterson sat in the chair 18 days after he got his last call." Sadly, Masterson would pass away not long after this meeting. Hart, first of all, was so moved by his meeting with Masterson that he chose to include a character based on him in his 1923 biopic, Wild Bill Hickok. Bat Masterson's journey ended on October 25, 1921. He was engrossed in his final column for the New York Morning Telegraph when he suddenly collapsed from a heart attack. Masterson was 67 years old at the time of his death, and his passing is a great loss to all who knew him. His legacy as a lawman, gambler, and journalist will continue to inspire generations to come. Bat Masterson was laid to rest at Woodlawn Cemetery in the Bronx, New York, where he will always be remembered as a true legend of the Old West.
Please like and share if you find the video content interesting and useful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and comment below so as not to miss the upcoming interesting videos. Thanks for watching.